6 p.m. This is the Clayton County Board of Education public hearing on, let me give you an outline of what's going to happen right now. I'm going to read the public participation of board meetings. After I'm finished reading this, Ms. Bivens, our CFO, HB 581. Their regular board meeting. So let me start with reading the public participation. The Clayton County Board of Education welcomes public participation and will hear any interested individuals pursuant to the guidelines outlined on policy BCBI. Of the public will not be allowed to discuss individual issues requiring possible action by the board may be added to future agendas. Issues that may need to be addressed by the administration will be duly noted. Abusive language and/or personal attacks will not be permitted. Ms. Bivens, if you would grace us with your presence.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. This mic. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, board members, Superintendent Dr. Smith, colleagues and community. This evening, I will do a brief presentation on on HB 581, its purpose, as well as the financial impact to the a potential financial impact to the district. Mr. Striker, do you already have the list, the signing list? Okay, thank you. Okay. So HB 581 provides a statewide floating homestead exemption for all local governments, including school districts. It limits the increase to the taxable value of a homesteaded property, and that is the residential or a home that an individual lives in. It limits it to the rate of inflation each year, which controls how much the value of the home can increase annually. It applies to homestead properties only. It does not apply to the non-homestead property, which are commercial and business properties, and those will be continued to be valued at its fair market value. Currently, there are several exemptions available to homeowners. The first is one that most of us are familiar with. It's our regular homestead exemption. That's $10,000 off the assessed value for school taxes. It's available to all homeowners that occupy property as of January 1. There's no age limit on that one. We also have a double homestead exemption that's available. It exempts all school taxes. It's available to homeowners 65 or older on January 1st of the following year. However, the taxable income may not exceed $10,000, and it only applies to the home that they live in the first 5 acres of the property that they live on. We also have the senior exemption that many are familiar with, and that's full exemption for school taxes. That's for homeowners age 65 on January 1st of the following year. We also have a 100% disability exemption, and that is full exemption for school taxes. That's for homeowners who are 100% disabled. There's no age requirement on this one. It only applies to the home in 5 acres, and there are also some other requirements that you must, documentation that you must submit to the tax commissioner's office when you're applying for that exemption. There's also a veteran exemption for the spouse. It is $117,014. Anything above that is assessed at that value. So if it's $120,000, you will be that individual will be taxed on the difference. the $3,000, I'm sorry. You must be a Georgia resident, and you must be a spouse of a member of the U.S. Armed Forces that was killed in any war or armed conflict in which the U.S. was engaged. And there's no age requirement on this exemption as well. And then finally, we have an exemption for widowed, unremarried spouses of police officers and firefighters that were killed in the line of duty. They may be exempt from all ad valorem property taxes. So these are some of the exemptions that are currently in place. And we want to note that the new voting homestead exemption provided by HB 581 is in addition to all of these. So none of these are going away. This is an additional exemption. HB 581 does provide an opt-out provision. Any government authority may elect to opt out. If they do, they're required to advertise and have 3 public hearings. So tonight is the final hearing that we're having. We had 2 last Monday, and so this is the 3rd one. And if the board does decide to opt out later tonight during the regular meeting, we must file the resolution with the Secretary of State by March 1st. And again, I want to reiterate that opting out does not impact the existing homestead exemptions that I referenced earlier. So we want to talk about the financial impact to the district if we were to opt in to HB 581. Currently, the district only has 3 revenue sources. We get QBE state funding from the state. That's about 60% of our total revenue. We get local revenue, which is in the form of property taxes. That's 40% of our total revenue. And for federal funds, and again, this is for our maintenance and operations. I want to make sure I make that clear. This is not for all funds, because we do have other federal funds that can't be used for our maintenance and operations. We get less than 1% that we can use in that area. So all 3 of these revenue sources funds the district's overall day-to-day operations. This includes expenses like instructional supplies and materials for our scholars, textbooks, including textbooks, academic and extracurricular activities. This funds teacher salaries, utilities, facilities and equipment maintenance, and safety and security. Not opting out of HB 581 would lock the district into potentially damaging financial constraints. And this is compounding this in our local property tax earnings. Had this bill been in place over the previous 7 years, as shown on the spreadsheet, the district would have potentially lost an estimated $35 million over the 6-year period. So if you look at the second from the bottom line, 2020, which is our fiscal year, but it was tax year 2019. On the far right, you will see, had this cap been in place at that time, we would have lost $3.4 million that first year. It would have increased to 3.5 the next year on up to 10.8, about 10.8 and 11 million in 22 and 23. For this fiscal year, it would have been 1.4% because there wasn't a lot of growth in the digest for 2024, as we saw in 2022 and 2023. So although those numbers may look small by the year, the cumulative effect of it could be have a really damaging financial effect for the district. So I took an approach to make some assumptions to see, well, how would this impact us over the next 5 years? So when we were looking at the previous slide, when I went back and looked, we were seeing on average an 8 to 10% growth in the digest up until those 2 years of 22 and 23, when we had, I think it was like 22 and 23%, or 23 and 24% increase in the digest. And those years were an anomaly for us. But I made an assumption that if we were back at the 8%, our normal growth rate on assessed values, and then using the current rate of inflation in December of 2.9%, this is the impact they would have on us under these assumptions if our digest grew from where it is now each year. So you would see that next fiscal year, which is the year we're working on our budget now, we would see a potential loss of $5 million in tax revenue. The next year would be 5.5, 6 million the following year, 6.5, up to 7.8 in 5 years. Over that period, there would be approximately $38 million in revenue that we would lose if we did not opt out. And before I go forward, I want to share with something that I received today that an even more compelling reason for us to opt out. We got something from the Department of Revenue that talks about the inflation index rate and what they finally decided what they will be using. And the standardized method that they will be using to determine that is the consumer price index for all urban consumer. It's a CPIU. And what they will do each year in January, they will look to see what it is in December and would set it at that rate. However, for this year, they're not going to set one. But what that means and what they said they are going to do, and I'm going to read it here. It says pursuant to HB 581, unless a governing authority of any county, consolidated government, municipality, or school district elects to opt out of the homestead exemption, each resident of the state is granted an exemption on the person's homestead from ad valorem taxes in an amount equal to the amount by which the current year assessed value of that homestead exceeds its previous adjusted base year. So what that really means is that the assessed value on the person's homestead from 2024 would not change for this year. So we would not recognize any growth at all, zero growth. So because they're not going to set the inflation rate, and if we opt in, then we will not be able to recognize any growth at all. So our tax revenue will remain flat, which would have a negative impact on the budget that we're looking at preparing now. So I wanted to share that with you this evening as well. So how does the exemption work, the new homestead exemption work? So I used a home with a fair market value of $350,000 as the base year, which is 2024. So if your home was had a fair market value of $350,000 in 2024, you would have been taxed on 40% of that. That's the assessed value. We only tax on 40% of the fair market value. So that would be $140,000. The homestead exemption of $10,000, we would deduct that from that. And so your net taxable value would be $130,000. Our current millage rate is 19.6 mils. If we apply that 19.6 mils to the net tax value of $130,000, your tax obligation for 2024 would be $2,548. On the right side, it shows year one of HB 581. So assuming an 8% growth from the $350,000, this year your home would be valued at $378,000. That's an 8% increase. The assessed value, remember, is only 40% of that, would have been $151,200. However, because of the growth restricted to the rate of inflation of 2.9%, the assumption that we used, your taxable value would be $140,060. Then we would apply the $10,000 exemption plus the $7,140, which is the difference between the 151.2 and the 144, and you would pay taxes on $134,060. Your tax obligation at that time would be $2,628, and we would compare that to last year. That's a $140 increase for an annual increase for that tax year, which is about $12 a month. If you're paying into an escrow, you would see your mortgage increase by about $12 a month. So capping the property tax revenue available to the district each year prevents the district from offering more competitive salaries, providing innovative programs for the scholars, facilities maintenance, and providing a safe learning environment. It would result in permanent reductions in operation that would severely impact our ability to maintain essential programs, services, and support staff. We could see significant reductions in programs and services that are currently provided to the students. We could experience increased class sizes as well as reduction in staff. Currently, we have no other method to recoup any tax revenue loss because, as I stated earlier, we only have three methods, three revenue sources: state funding, our local taxes, and some federal funds. Our millage rate is capped at 20 mils. We're currently at 19.6. This was reduced a couple of years ago. If we were to increase it back to 20 mils, it would generate an additional $4.4 to $5 million. We also have the second lowest property values of the 8 neighboring or metro Atlanta districts. And it's important to note, as I said earlier, that increased property assessment values that we witnessed in 2022 and 2023 were out of trend for our district. Prior to 2022, our digest growth was an average of 8 to 10%. However, in 22 and 23, it was at 24 and 25%. And then 24, it actually increased by 7.9%, which is significantly lower than the 2 previous years and slightly below our previous year's average growth. So should Clayton County opt out? So we listed some pros and cons of HB 581, with, of course, the reduced ad valorem taxes for individual homeowners being a pro. However, there are several cons for the district if we do not opt out. As I stated, it would reduce the taxes that the district can collect. If it was in effect in 2023, we would have reduced collections by about $11 million. In 24, we would have reduced collections by $1.4 million. Our projected FY 26 reduction is approximately $5 million, as stated earlier, based on the assumptions. And the only way that we could fix this would be to raise the millage rate. However, as I stated, we're capped at 20 mills, and that's our Georgia Constitution. We have some other districts around us, Atlanta and the Cap, I believe. Their millage, maximum millage rate is 25 mills. They were grandfathered in, so they have some flexibility to increase the millage rate to help offset the difference. And Rockdale County, I believe, has a maximum millage rate of 30 mills that they could go up to make up some of that revenue. We don't have that option right now. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair. And I yield the floor back to you for public comments.
Ms. Bivens, thank you so much for that. Do I have either the tax commissioner or a representative from the tax commissioner's office in here tonight?
I texted her and she said that she was not going to be able to join us this evening.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, with that said, we will get started with public comment. Remember, you have 3 minutes to speak at the podium. The first person that I have is Drew Andrews. Drew, you knew you were up already?
I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. I'm Drew Andrews, Clayton County. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, board members, and a special hello to Dee Haney, who's my board member, and community. I would be remiss if I did not speak out because our community overwhelmingly voted for House Bill 581. And as you know, our vote is our voice. With that said, I know each and every one of you personally, and I know that you have our children's best interest at heart. And this is where I join you, and I'm sure those behind me understand our children is our priority. This is what kind of my dilemma. 1 January, I see my property tax, my mortgage rate go to 71%. And then I get a bill from Georgia Power, increased $43, and so on. And then I haven't even went grocery shopping yet. But thankfully, I'm a single man, so I can survive on sardines and crackers. But there's families out there who can't. But I respect your collective mind, and I know that you will find a way, because you understand, because you live here. So the struggle that I have, I know you have as well. So what I'm really upset about is our lack of vision and creativity, not necessarily here, but countywide. We need hotels. We need retail. You know, we need to get the strain off the back of the people. You know, the people are paying 60%, the property owners are paying 60% of the budget. I challenge you to come up with ways to alleviate that. And I have every faith that you will. I won't be much longer because I know I have 1 minute, 48 seconds. Well, in closing, I just ask that uh, bring to your attention. We voted, I think it was last summer, for these warehouses to pay their fair share. They was getting 100% scot-free. We voted so they paid 20%. We paying 60. We just asked that they pay 20%. And they get off, they don't have to pay for 5 years. But our obligation starts immediately. We need to change that. Because if we're going to pay our fair share and we live here, they need to pay theirs. You need to demand that. And I'll march with you, make sure that happens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Next up, I have Taylor Moore. Taylor Moore. Is Taylor Moore here?
She's going to be presenting at the board meeting. She just not.
Gotcha. Thank you. Next, I have Tiffany Sanders. Tiffany Sanders.
Good evening, everyone, Chair, Superintendent, Board. My name is Tiffany Sanders, and I agree with everything the gentleman just said. I actually spoke with Ms. Ramona and got a better understanding of the presentation. I see um, the deficit that we may have with opting in. But again, I am a homeowner. I live here, and I have a student that's in Clayton County Public Schools, but of course, I want the best for him, but at the same time, I'm a single parent as well. And my property taxes are going up. I don't get the senior exemption. And again, just to ditto what he said, it's like the idea that the public, we voted on this. This was a referendum. People came out and voted that we wanted this. And for the state to come back and put all this confusion as to it's a one-time deal, you have to be all in or you can't be in. It's like a whole, that was a slap in the face. If you took our word, we should have, if this was something you was gonna allow for the voters, it should have just been a flat thing. But I really don't understand all of it. I've been going to the county commission as well. My district, I'm in District 3, my Commissioner Allen, I know she is standing with the people and opting in. I'm unsure what the other board members said in regards to Clayton County. And even the commissioner, our tax commissioner, Danielle Smith, was at the meeting as well and gave the ideas, the pros and cons. I didn't know that prior to speaking to Ms. Bivens that you're capped at 20 mills, but again, maybe like you said, we got to have some more innovation. So the property homeowners is not bearing the burden of all these taxes. It's something got to be done. If we ought to be able to get some other type of way to make revenue, if you're only able to get it from the state and the 1% federal, but the homeowners cannot just bear to keep bearing these increase for the cost. So that's what I just want to speak in. My opinion is to vote to opt in due to those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I have Anila Lawton. Anila Lawton. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
No, it's Anita Lawton. But
Anita.
Okay.
Okay.
I know my writing. I was supposed to be a doctor, but here I am. My name is Anita Lawton. Good evening, Chair, Speaker, everybody. I live in Clayton County. I just moved here. My only question is, if these are supposed to go for the facility maintenance, when did we vote for this new school, brand new spanking school? Like, I missed that. Can anybody help me with that question? On Fayetteville Road? We're not talking about that? We're not talking about that?
I'm sorry, repeat that question, please.
The brand new school, North Clayton?
North Clayton, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
If we're trying to keep the money budget, why we have a brand new school? When was this voted? I missed that one. I just have a question regarding that.
Right.
Instead of using it to.
Right. If you could finish with your comment, and you and I could speak afterwards
Uh-huh.
personally, but if you can continue with your comment while
Okay,
your time is
well,
over.
I just wanted to know if the money is being, if we're being taxpayers and we have to pay for this, the money should be allocated to refurbishing the school instead of a brand new school. Because if you're trying to, and I just feel as though we shouldn't have to keep paying for or hiking up our taxes, property taxes for something that can be dealt with in a different way. Um, I didn't see that the board for any of that coming up. I didn't see, but I keep seeing as far as like taxes going up, we have a whole bunch of board meetings to opt in or opt out, and it we shouldn't have to pay for that. It should be out to everybody, like the two people before me, said that we shouldn't have to pay for this, and we're stuck at having to pay for it, because if we don't, then it's a lien, or we lose our property, and it's not fair. And I think it's a better way to handle the appropriation of taxpayers' money. Thank you very much.
Ms. Lawton, thank you very much. Let me make one comment, Ms. Lawton. The buildings, anytime you see buildings and facilities going up, there's a different bucket of tax money that we're using for that. The E-Splosh that you vote on for the penny sales tax,
Yes,
that's the bucket that we use when we build buildings.
so it's just that 1%.
Right, that does, right. So that 1 cent is what enables us to build North Clayton. And because of that 1 cent, we're able to build North Clayton without touching personal property tax money. The property tax money is for the operations of our school. So that's why we can build a big building that's nice and grand based off of the 1 cent that we're collecting from E-Splosh. But where we get fearful at, you and I'll talk afterwards.
Well, that was my main question, but thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I was about to get into my commentary. Victoria Givance.
I think basically, really, they've already kind of
Stated.
covered what I wanted to say, and that I'm in agreement. But you know what?
Ms. Givance, Ms. Givance. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
You are Gavance, it is, correct, thank you. Hi, I'm Victoria Gavance, as they've already said, and like I said, I really agree with, what they're basically are saying, and that was kind of, like you said, we voted for this, we opted in for this when we voted. So, and, with that said, I mean, like I said, the people have already spoken, and so to come forward and say that now you all want to opt out, I just kind of think that there should be another way, because with the economy, with everything that's going on, I think that, food prices, everything that's going on, everybody's household is, hitting hard, it's hitting hard. So I do feel like that maybe there should be another way that we can, come together, because I do feel for the children. I've been in this Clayton County 23 years, it's gonna be 24. So the taxes, how they went up this last year was like, whoa, and I'm sure it hit everybody's pocket. So even though my daughter, my last child actually graduates this year, so it wouldn't hit me as hard, but still, I stand in this community and I'm a part of this community and would like to see, something better happen. So that's really all.
Thank you, Ms. Givance. Lastly, I have a Mr. Eddie Boyd. Eddie Boyd? Is that a junior Boyd?
Yes, there's Aiden Boyd here, guess.
You're speaking twice tonight, is that correct?
Just once.
Just
So,
once?
Not about the House bill. if it's
Okay,
records,
yes,
yes.
that's the next meeting. I'm sorry about that, Mr. Boyd. Okay. All right. Okay, so that has completed the public comments for the HB 581. We're going to be voting on this tonight at the business agenda for action. Before I depart from this hearing, I do want to say that I got to commend the public, whether you were for this or you weren't, the respect that you gave us and the consideration in which you gave us was greatly appreciated. Every single person that's sitting on this dais right now truly feels your pain. We're all homeowners also, and we feel that increase also. The thing that I would part on is to say that Dr. Smith, the superintendent, and myself have been talking to informally with some of the commission members, and we are going to attempt to give some sort of relief, or we're going to try. We're going to brainstorm, as Ms. Gavin said. Um, there may be other ways in which we can achieve this goal. Obviously, I'm not giving any guarantees, but I assure you we will sit down with every member, every elected official in the county and have that conversation. I think that the only reason why we need to discuss this tonight and make a decision tonight is because once we make this decision, unfortunately, it's a permanent decision that we can't go back on. So we have to make the best decision for the children tonight, because if we don't make that decision tonight, we don't know where we will be in a few years. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your respect. I mean, that's all we ask for from the community. We don't want to sway the way in which your opinion goes, but we just ask for that respect, and it feels good for people to walk up to this mic and say, we understand where you guys stand and how you guys have to make your decision. So kudos to the community. Thank you. And with that said, I'm adjourning this meeting, and now we will continue our board meeting. And the way in which we're going to do that is we're going to come down off of the dais and have a seat with you guys, because we have some wonderful presentations that's going to happen tonight. After those presentations are over, you got my word. We're going to come up here and we're going to try to get through this agenda as quick as possible. Thank you.
I'm fine, sir. How are you? Uh, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Smith, and ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you three very attractive young ladies who will be performing for you in recognition of Black History Month, as well as with a special presentation on the Lunar New Year. So in this order, we will begin with Aubrey Huynh, followed by Taylor Moore, and then Sophia Nguyen, who will be doing these presentations. Aubrey is a sophomore at Stillwell School of the Arts, Taylor a senior at Stillwell School of the Arts, and Sophia is a senior at Elite Scholars Academy.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing Let us march on till victory is won. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Let us march on till victory is won.
Good evening. My name is Taylor Moore, and as previously stated, I'm a senior at the Martha Ellen Stillwell School of the Arts. And the summer of my junior year, I was invited to participate in this month-long intensive pre-college program via the Governor's Honors Program. And while there, I was a visual art major, and I was expected to live on campus for a month, and I had to attend this really lengthy contemporary art studio course. And during this course, I was introduced to a new medium that I had never heard of before, and it's called encaustics. Now, if you are not familiar with encaustics, it's pigments mixed with really hot wax on like these big surfaces that you work on. And the technique is melting this wax with blow dryers, heat guns. You can use like electric irons, and you create this really tactile work that's both visually interesting but also physically engaging. When I reflect on the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I think of this very specific excerpt from his very famous I Have a Dream speech, in which he says, "It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment." Now, obviously, when he says this, he's speaking of racial injustice and the need for immediate action. But I feel like this phrase can relate to other portions of life. I find it resonates with a lot more than just civil rights. You can honestly apply it to all moments of life, especially the creative process. I often feel this urgency of the moment when I'm working. Each brushstroke or decision, it feels urgent, like it must be made with intention and purpose. Whether I'm layering hot wax or I'm blending colors or I'm creating texture, there's a pressure to act decisively. And those moments and those choices that I make ultimately make up to create something beautiful and meaningful. That sense of urgency can be applied to any portion of your life. Because in art, just like life, the decisions that we make shape our future. Now, in a way, I feel like my experience with encaustics and Dr. King's words are related. They both teach me that actions matter, timing matters, and the present moment is not to be overlooked. And what we create today, whether in artwork or in activism or just in your daily life, creates the future that we experience tomorrow. Thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and for justice stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Hello, everyone. My name is Sophia Nguyen, and recently, about 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of presenting a speech that I wrote at the Maro Thut Lunar New Year Festival. So today, I will be sharing that same speech. The fluorescent kitchen light beamed over my head as I sat at the intricately carved wooden table, something my grandmother often meant symbolized luxury. My legs dangled over the stools as I was presented with the sizable yellow fruit brimming with antioxidants. The Southeast Asian pomelo bui in Vietnamese, acquired earlier in that day during our routine errands. Growing up, I often spent weekends with my grandparents while my parents worked, Saturdays were filled with trips to the Lake City's Farmer Market in Jonesboro, followed by a large meal at Golden Gate while our groceries marinated in the car. The colorful Asian stores and Chinese restaurants evoked a similar sense of nostalgia. In the produce section, I eagerly unwrapped plastic bags to help my grandmother store fresh fruits and vegetables, and I savored black bean clams until empty shelves were stacked like books on a shelf. As I grew old, these grocery runs became less frequent. Weekends were consumed by hanging out with friends and participating in extracurricular activities, replacing what had once been an established routine. Eventually, these cherished outings became a rarity. As I approached my senior year of high school and faced the possibility of moving away for college, I started to reflect on how much I've overlooked my hometown. Many of us are so consumed by the hustles of life, like searching for an item in an unfamiliar store, that we fail to appreciate the privilege of knowing exactly where things are. That familiarity feels like a time machine, transporting me back to my elementary school days. The foods I eat and the scents I encounter are powerful connections to my loved ones. I realize that while I strive to establish a community elsewhere, I will always have one here. What I cherish the most about my city is its rich culture, small businesses, and the memories it holds. It's a reminder that no matter how far I go, my roots are in Clayton County, where I took my first steps, where I experienced my first days of school, and will eventually celebrate my last days of high school. As I move forward, I try to remind myself to pause and appreciate the growth in which I once considered mundane. The empty plots of land I passed every morning on the way to school have now transformed into extravagant buildings. In the next 5 to 10 years, I see Clayton County evolving into a hub of development and culture that many might underestimate. I view it as a hub where memories and love are fully stocked. As the city continues to grow, as do the relationships and impressions that shape the lives of those who call it home. Thank you.
All right. All right, if the board could come up so we can do recognitions, take pictures with these, with the future.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Smith, ladies and gentlemen. I would ask those students who are here from MD Roberts to be recognized if they would line up along the wall on the far side, please. Would Dr. Douglas Hendricks, Dr. Keith Colbert, Dr. Tim Guiney, Mr. Lonnie Farmer, Dr. Lee Buddy, please come forward and join the board up front. Tonight, the board recognizes an amazing group of performers. Last November, the Regal Dolls of M.D. Roberts School of the Arts participated in the National Middle School Dance Competition hosted by Columbia Middle School, showcasing the best dance teams from across the state of Georgia. In competition described as quite fierce, the Regal Dolls captured first place rankings in parade, field show, and creative categories, and second place in the stands category. Their overall performance resulted in the group being crowned the grand champions of the competition. Tonight, we recognize Adriel Campbell, Rayleigh Johnson, Kalani Vinyard, Skylar Bell, Dorian Mulder, Cassidy McCrae, Taylor Clanton, Aaliyah Rumley, Alexandria Rumley, Jadori Cox, Paris Sparks, and coaches Shakita Boyd, Lakiba Fobb, Maya Dunham, and Jamad Duluki. Thank you. And as they are leaving, all the parents that are here and supporting of these young people, please stand so we can congratulate you as well. For our next recognition, I would like for Dr. Douglas Hendricks, Dr. Keith Colbert, Ms. Felicia Brown, and Dr. Alicia Dunn, if they would please join the board up front. Would all the school counselors in our audience please stand and come forward? Tonight, we share special recognition of our school counselors. They have in their hands a proclamation establishing the week of February the 3rd through the 7th as National School Counseling Week. The theme for this year is School Counseling, Helping Students Thrive. School counselors are actively committed to helping students look to the future while being aware of the present. They help parents focus on ways to further the educational, personal, and social growth of their children, all the while working with teachers and community stakeholders to help students explore their potential and become productive members of society. They are indeed an integral part of the educational process. And for that reason, we celebrate these outstanding employees this week, February the 3rd through the 7th, as National School Counseling Week. For this final recognition, I would ask Dr. Douglas Hendricks and a representative of Facility Services to please come forward to join the board up front, if they're in the room. Okay, they're busy doing other things this evening. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Koger, would you please join the board up front? He did it. Yeah, we can give it to Sam. Yeah. Tonight, we have a very special recognition. We celebrate a member of our custodial staff who has retired with 40 years of service to the school district. He's not with us here tonight, but I will tell you that the central office was his second home. I know for the full 20 years that I've been here, he was one of my best friends because anytime I needed anything done, he did it. So while he is not with us this evening, we would like to honor Mr. Sam Saraf and wish him well on his retirement. Mr. Chair, that concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Okay, do I have everybody? Okay, I'm going to call the roll call. District 1, Jasmine Bowles.
Present.
District 2, Mark Christmas, I believe he's back. District 3, Dr. Jesse Goree.
Present.
District 4, Victoria Williams. District 5, Dr. D. Haney.
Present.
District 6, Miss Mary Baker.
Present.
District 7, Miss Sabrina Hill.
Present.
District 8, Miss Joy Cooper.
Present.
District 9, Benjamin Straker, that's myself. Superintendent Anthony Smith.
Present.
Deputy Superintendent Dr. Douglas Hendricks. Present. Let me go back. Superintendent Dr. Anthony Smith.
Present.
Attorney Clem Doyle.
Present.
Board Coordinator Kim Blackwood. Present. Assistant to the Superintendent Alicia Battle. Assistant to the Deputy Superintendent Ms. Dawn Biles. That completes the roll. Now I'm going to read the ethics statement. In accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflict of interest and the appearance of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting? or appearing on our proposed agenda? Seeing none, if so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. I think that before I start the public participation, I just want to alert the public to some tragic things that has happened. First off, we lost a very valuable individual of our family during the tragic plane crash that was in Washington, D.C. Lieutenant Colonel Brian Ellis, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Ellis, a 1989 alumnus of Morrow High School, was among those tragically killed in the recent mid-air collision over Washington, D.C. last week. It is important to note that he was also a leader and starter on the 1987 Morrow High School State Championship football team. He later advanced to be the starting quarterback his senior year, an early sign of his leadership and commitment to team values. He was a distinguished 1993 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and former quarterback for the Midshipmen's football team. Lieutenant Colonel Ellis had two sons. He is leaving a legacy of leadership, dedication, and selflessness. A tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Brian Ellis, Morrow High School, as a tribute to Colonel Brian Ellis, Morrow High School flew its flag today, half-staff, and will add his name to its notable alumni wall of fame. We also lost Shay Harrison, a retired educator from Clayton County, passed away last week. Ms. Harris retired from Edmonds Elementary School and also served at the Mount Zion Primary School during her career. She is survived by her husband, Don Harris, who is employed in facility services. We've also lost Sam Kroger, actually lost his mother, and Monique Jury also lost her mother. So if we could take a moment of silence so that we can honor these individuals. I thank you so much. We're now up to the public participation of our meeting. I'm going to read the public participation statement. The Clayton County Board of Education welcomes public participation and will hear any interested individual pursuant to the guidelines outlined policy BCBI. Members of the public will not be allowed to discuss individual personnel issues or confidential student matters. Speakers must identify themselves and topics before speaking. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak, and time may not be yielded from one speaker to another. Board members will not respond to comments from speakers. The chairman may respond as appropriate. Issues requiring possible action of the board may be added to future agendas. Issues that may need to be addressed by the administration will be duly noted. Abusive language and/or personal attacks will not be permitted. My first person up tonight is Zanaya Harris. Is there a Zanaya Harris? One more time. Is there a Zanaya Harris? All right, moving on. I have Mr. Terrell Mitchell, who I believe is the band leader for Mount Zion High School. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That's me.
sir.
In the flesh. Good evening, Board Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Clayton County Public Schools Board of Education, Dr. Anthony Smith, and distinguished guests. My name is Terrell Mitchell. I stand before you today with great pride and excitement as the Director of Bands of Mount Zion High School. I am a product of Clayton County Public Schools. I matriculated through Mount Zion Elementary, MD Roberts Middle School, and I graduated from Mount Zion High School. I received a world-class education from Clayton County Public Schools that has allowed me to go on to earn a bachelor's degree in visual and performing arts, as well as a master's degree in music education, and I am also working on my doctorate degree in music education as well. I often see myself and my students as I sat in those same chairs. Literally, those are the same chairs. And I think they held up pretty well. I took over the Mount Zion High School Band in 2022, and our first performance was with just 8 members. It has been a journey rebuilding this program from just 8 students to over 35 students marching down Constitutional Avenue in Washington, D.C. just 23 months later. The MZ Band is now nationally recognized, receiving superior ratings at large group performance evaluations, excellent ratings at marching band competitions across the state of Georgia, as well as the Clayton County Marching Band Exhibition hosted every year. I say all of that to say 3 things. Thank you. Thank you to the Board of Education for your continued support that has allowed the Mount Zion Marching Band to achieve those things. Secondly, thank you to the Clayton County Foundation for their support of my students as well. Thirdly, I would like to thank my proud principal, Ms. Kimberly Grant, as she has been instrumental in the success of the Mount Zion High School Band program. I am honored to share some extraordinary news with you all that will not only bring immense pride to our school, but also to the entire Clayton County community. The Mount Zion High School Marching Bulldog Band has been officially invited to participate in the 2025 Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade in Honolulu, Hawaii. The Mount Zion High School Chorus, under the direction of Mr. John Womack, will be joining the Bulldog Band as they will perform at the parade opening ceremony. This invitation represents a tremendous opportunity for our students to honor the heroes of Pearl Harbor, pay tribute to their legacy, and showcase their talents on the national stage. As we prepare for this once-in-a-lifetime event, we seek your continued support in helping us fulfill this dream. There are several logistical and financial considerations that come in with participating in such a prestigious event, and we humbly ask for community support, not only in helping us achieve this goal, but most importantly, in celebrating the incredible accomplishments of our students. Thank you for your time, thank you for your support, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share this exciting moment with you guys.
Mr. Mitchell, quite impressive, quite impressive. Are you part of the Clayton County Public Schools Alumni Association?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I am not.
Huh?
I am not.
You are?
I am not.
You're not?
No.
But before Ms. Bowles leaves today, can you please have a conversation with her? Because that's the type of representation that we need
Yes,
on,
ma'am.
on
Yes,
that,
sir.
on that
Yes,
board.
sir.
Could I have a Miss Tamara Johnson? Am I saying Tamara or Tamara? Tamara, okay. Tamara Johnson? Mr. Mitchell, thanks again, man.
Good job.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening,
Hello,
Ms.
Chair.
Johnson.
Good evening. I am one of the Clayton County taxpayers over in, I have a business, Miss Pam Changes, we're in child care centers. One of my concerns and one of my group concerns is the building of, I understand now that Splash handles the actual buildings themselves, and then the taxpayer dollar now goes to the operating. Right, so I had a couple of questions that I kind of proposed. The building of like the early childhood, Riverdale, and the other proposed 4 different locations. Have you thought about the negative impact that building those early child care centers has on like the small business owners, like the private business owners that own in Clayton County, who have preschools and early child education? When I say the negative impact, meaning that I know kind of reading that some of it is like age 3 and up that you'll be taking on, but then the taxpayer dollars are taking care of it. But then the gentleman mentioned before, bring up businesses and small businesses in Clayton County to offset the personal taxpayer dollars. But putting something like that into the area knocks out small businesses because it's, we handle early child education. We pass them on to you to do everything else, but the little ones we need to keep closed. So I was asking, did you guys realize the negative impact that would have? I did kind of find out that as far as like the teacher shortages that you currently have in Clayton County with the teachers moving or migrating to other counties, how are you going to fill the vacancies of these new buildings? And is that also going to pull from the early childhood education realm because there's a different level of education necessary to be early child educator versus a actual teacher? Where's that pool coming from? And let me see, the vacancy, oh yeah, I did mention it, the vacancies that you have from K to 12. So that was my biggest concern is how can we work together in a sense? We all have the children's best interest at heart, but as a taxpayer in Clayton County and also as a business owner, I just kind of want to know where we stand as far as how it's going to impact our businesses because that facility has what, 56 rooms? Yeah, that's a lot of space and opportunity if we're going by the right from the start 25 square foot rule. So you're talking like what, 500-600? That's a huge facility, and it's going to pull from all of the small business owners in that area. So those are my kind of questions, if they can just be.
Right. Ms. Johnson, one of the things that I'm going to ask the superintendent to do later on as that building is progressing, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have some community meetings, specifically in that area to address some of those concerns. And I love your word of collaboration because remember, we're not trying to take my mother lived her entire life as a daycare provider, right? Okay. So I definitely feel you when it comes to, your concerns, but you are needed in our community to help our children because that's all it's about is getting our children together. So you could rest assured with the superintendent and his team, it's going to be a collaboration and those informationals will eventually, come around when he feels fit to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Akira Sharp. Okay. I'll get right back to you, Mr. Boyd. I skipped you, but you're next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Akira Sharp. I'm also a child care owner in Clayton County. I also attended school from K-12 all the way through high school. I graduated from Forest Park High School in 1994.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
I am a product of Clayton County.
You need to see Ms. Bowles also at the end of this.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm not letting any of y'all go.
I'm sorry?
I'm not letting any alumni go.
Okay.
You're all going to be part of that association.
Well, as a person that was raised here in Clayton County, I've always had all of my businesses here. I'm 24 years into childcare, so I've seen a lot of businesses come and go. With this new proposed, I've reached out to the board several times and I've spoke to a couple of people. I'm a representative, but I'm still not clear as to what is the purpose. So I sent an email today and I want to read those questions off, even though I know you cannot answer them. They did say that it would be answered at a later date. One of them was just to please clarify the group and the purpose of the Riverdale Early Learning Center, because online it shows that it is only for pre-K, but it was verified to me that they are taking in 3-year-olds. Now, the impact on our daycare centers right now, CAPS funding has already been cut. We are in a low-income county, so most of our customers are CAPS or low income. So therefore, if you pull the 3-year-old children, you will shut our centers down. We cannot operate off of infant 1s and 2s. No way possible. The 4-year-olds are already in the school system. Right now, there's 56 pre-K sites, from my understanding, that are operated by the public school system. The others are in the childcare facilities. And from my understanding, building this additional 56 classroom building with the other 4 proposed schools that you guys are proposing will completely pull those other classrooms and put us out of business. The childcare sector, we employ a lot of people in Clayton County and has. When there was no schools being built, the childcare facilities housed the Georgia Lottery Pre-K, which is now one of the biggest programs for 4-year-old children. I have 48 seconds left. So Also, it says the Riverdale Early Learning Center cost was estimated in the paperwork that you listed as $25 million, but the actual cost seems to be more than that. I was told it's about $50 million to build a building, and you do not have a plan as of right now as to how you're going to get staffing for that. Will you pull from our centers for that also, is a question. Will the additional pre-K classes be awarded to Clayton County schools, or will they pull from the private sector, as I just said? Did the board consider the impact of childcare centers located in Clayton County and how this would close many centers due to Clayton County Public Schools pulling 3- and 4-year-old children from the school system? And how are you addressing the vacancies of over 100 staff members that you currently have in the school system that has not been filled, but you're planning on building new centers in those schools?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Eddie Boyd?
Sorry to hold you.
Good
evening,
Boyd, how
board.
are you?
You're doing great, doing great. Good evening, board members, superintendent. I have a comment in reference to the naming or renaming our facilities. Last week, I know it was proposed for one of our facilities to named after Miss Jessie Gorey. One of the issues was a appearance of conflict or whatnot, right? As a compromise, I think we can put our heads together, right? If we believe that it's fitting for a person, not just this one individual, but maybe in the future, maybe a teacher that had an impact, right? And is well deserving, we can put in place a trigger policy, right? Or legislation. So if we all agree, right? But for right now, it doesn't work. We can have it after they retire or whatnot, right? That it goes in place, but you're honoring that living legend while they're at that time, giving those roses while they're here. And I'm using Ms. Goree as an example, but if we have that situation in the future, you know, my own experience with my father, I had an opportunity to honor and do something for him while he was living. And we, you know, sometimes you put it off, and I had to wait until my dad was gone. Put on a beautiful ceremony, right? But the person that I was honoring was no longer here. And I wish I would have been able to do that while they're living, and that living piece of history can be attainable to our students and whatnot. To say, hey, ask a question, hey, who's that, right? And so whenever we're naming our facilities or have an opportunity to name our facility, I was just talking with someone else in reference to our homeless education department, right? There may be a different way we can put it out there that puts that question that someone that's been real involved with changing the homelessness or whatnot, right? And it sparks a question, right? So I'm not gonna hold you long because my buddy needs to get home, but I just want to share with you my opinion. And I believe you're going to always make the right decision, right? And I'm with you in full support, all right?
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Yes.
Next, I have Miss Brenda Harrison, sorry. Ms. Harrison, how you doing?
Good evening,
Can
board.
you pull that mic down toward you? That mic, yeah.
Oh, you trying to say I'm short?
Nah.
Good evening, board. Dr. Smith, administrators, staff, and community. I'm here to speak about, as Eddie Boyd said, a sign that we have been using for years. I was talking about this sign several years ago until I got off that horse and got on to advocate for the new Morrow High School. And that took a lot of time. But I'm back on this topic now. We are not teaching students how to be homeless. This says Clayton County Public Schools Homeless Education. That's a weird title. We are not teaching how to be homeless. If you can imagine going into your bank and there are two windows. One window says, this line is for people who have money. The other window says, this line is for people who have no money in their account. Can you imagine the money people looking at you and giving you some kind of smirk on their face? That's not something to be proud of. Walking into a resource building and it says homeless education, that's nothing to be proud of. I am encouraging this board and Dr. Crawford, I guess she's not here, but Dr. Crawford as well, to change the name that is on the top of the door to this building so that our children that we have resources for and families will not have to be ashamed walking into this building. So I sincerely encourage you to make a change in this name, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison.
All right.
Lastly, I have Mr. Winston McKenzie. Hello, sir.
Hey, good evening, Chair, Assistant Chair, Board, and everyone else who's present. Wrote something. Okay. First, let me proudly introduce myself. My name is Winston McKenzie. I am a devoted father to 3 amazing children who have been attending Clayton County schools for the past 4 years. Throughout this journey, I've encountered numerous challenges, fighting to be recognized as their father. Unfortunately, I've had staff members tell me that in Georgia, the mother is often considered the leader when it comes to education, despite a court order stating otherwise. As a result, I've missed special events, important IEP meetings, and valuable information crucial to my children's success, all while being ignored and disrespected along with my very involved wife. None of this is acceptable. I've sent emails to faculty members, even up to the higher levels. Now in present day, I'm still facing these same issues, but with different individuals involved. So I'm not gonna go through the whole list. The biggest issue I see is that as a father dealing with the school system, it's a bit of a smack in the face. I shouldn't have to prove my fatherhood at all to anyone, especially where the children are concerned. When you're in a situation where you're in a co-parenting situation or divorce, whatever the case is, and you have equal rights, joint custody, there should be no issue why I should not be able to get reports, or teachers should feel comfortable communicating with the father. And hopefully I'm not just speaking for myself. Something really needs to be done about that, because everyone wants to make sure we follow protocol. However, on the other side of that coin, when it comes to the fathers, it's null and void. It's not reciprocated. There's no reciprocity. So I'm advocating that something be done, but I'm asking you, what can be done in situations like that to make sure no other fathers behind me have to deal with the same issues? Because it's at this point, it's a tad bit redundant. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, like, for real. So that's all I have. Thank you for listening.
Mr. McKenzie, thank you
Yes, sir.
so much for your comments.
Yes.
That completes the public participation for this evening. Okay. We have a recommendation from the executive session this evening, and I'm going to read the motion. The superintendent's recommendation can I get a motion for the superintendent's recommendation to approve the reelection list as presented, with the exception of number 77 and 102 of the central office list? Ms. Baker,
So moved.
can I get a second? Ms. Hill?
I second.
It has been moved and properly second. Can I get a vote? I have,
No, it's not I have a question.
okay, Ms. Goree?
All right. So this is for principals, assistant principals, and central office.
That is correct.
Okay.
What was that? This is for the central office, assistant principals and principals,
What about teachers?
and certified staff.
Okay, so can you restate the motion
All right.
so that it
The
covers
super-
everybody?
The motion is for the superintendent's recommendation to approve the reelection list as presented, with the exception of number 77 and 102 of the central office list for certified employees and certified employees.
All right.
Ms. Haney, you have a comment? Okay, you abstain. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have eight yes and one abstention. Motion passes. You got that, Ms. Madden?
The abstention.
I apologize for that. The lights are still messed up, so you don't know who's pressing their button or not. So I apologize, and I assure you it'll be fixed by our next meeting. We're now
So
moving.
what's the vote?
The vote was 8 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Individual board member, starting from Ms. Joy Cooper all the way over to the left. Ms. Cooper, the mic is yours. You got 90 seconds.
Less than that. Just a reminder that on Saturday, February the 8th, I will be having the Gift of Heart Health event. It starts at 1 o'clock. It ends at 3. It's at the Boardroom Community Room.
Next item, Ms. Hill.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to extend my sincere gratitude to our staff and our leadership for supporting me in my town hall. Dr. Crawford, Ms. Brown, Student Services, Christy Crawford, Principal Thompson, Ms. Nelson, Ms. James, Parent Liaison, SES staff, and our parents and our scholars. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for your continued support and collaboration in serving our community, our scholars, and our families. And I also want to just say kudos to everyone who has completed the McKinney-Vento training program. The employees have excelled. We approximately have 1,760 employees who have completed that program. So I just want to say thank you and keep up the great work.
Dr. Haynes.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to announce that District 5 will be having their advisory council meeting on February 11th at the GOC from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Also, we are still soliciting support for the Douglas Brothers Foundation. Their office is sit in District 5, but he is a constituent of our Vice Chair, Mary Baker. So we would like for the public to continue to extend donations or any sort to support them as they support our district as well as our community.
Thank you, Dr. Haynes. Ms. Baker.
First of all, I just want to say ditto to Dr. Haynes and they do so much for the community and they've always given back and it's our time to support them. I just want to say, if you haven't seen the pictures yet from Jonesboro's send off or whatever they will be going to London for New Year's to be in the parade. And they have done their kickoff with a high tea. I suggest you see those pictures. They're incredible. Miss Director Goodwin does not let's say, he makes it memorable. Let's put it that way. And then to Mr. Mitchell, Director Mitchell, who was just here talking about our Mount Zion band. These students are taking us nationwide and international. And I think we need to give kudos to those who support these people, the band, the parents, the directors. And if there is any way you can show your support to these bands to get to where they are, it's not cheap. So I ask that you do that. Reach in your pocket, take that Starbucks money and hand it over. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. The only two things that I want to mention is I got to give a super duper shout out to Miss Rice for the event that she had on Saturday with the father, daughters, mother, son. That was fantastic. And as the gentleman had that stood up here and gave his comment today, you can see the need of bringing families together in such a way. So thank you, Ms. Rice, for putting on that event. I wanted to come, but my daughter stood me up. Next is the PTA was at the Capitol today, and I had the opportunity to speak to our district leader, Arvis Walker, and I am setting up a meeting with Ms. Walker and Ms. Williams. Me and Ms. Williams will be sitting down with Ms. Walker to try to really enhance the collaboration and partnership of the PTA with Clayton County Public Schools. And that's it for me. Ms. Williams, I'm sorry I recruited you without you even knowing.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna mention that now. I was gonna wait to hold that till later. But you think the same person. I was gonna thank Miss Rice and her team for doing a vision board party Thursday. It was very exciting and I enjoyed it. And it's actually my first time doing a vision board, believe it or not. And I think next year we do it, more families need to come out. We had less than 20 families. We had 52,000 kids in the area. How come only less than 20 people wanted to come out and actually put together a vision board? But then we had a sold out for the dance, but nobody want to take the time to kind of put, your future on paper so we can kind of see and kind of know where you're going, which direction. But I just want to say it was great and thank you.
Good evening. I want to recognize the fact that this is Black History Month, even though there are only 28 days. Black History is 365 days. I want to give a shout out to two of my teachers who introduced me to Black History, Mr. Strong, who actually was not a Black man, but to my English teacher, Miss Thelma Lauderdale, and to salute them. I Too, by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. I want you all to spend this time knowing that it's 365, that we all came from the motherland. Learn a poem. I feel a little bad. I read that. I had to learn that when I was in high school. Learn something. The young lady sang, lift every voice and sing. Learn all 3 verses of it. Do something every day and let our children be proud of what they are. Forget people that want to say, let's get rid of DEI, because that will never happen. And I want to recognize one person, our city councilwoman, Ms. Kirby from Lovejoy. Thank you.
Mr. Christmas?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say on Saturday, the Clayton Eagles will be playing the Houston Sharks, who are the champion in adaptive sports basketball. We want to knock them off their throne on Saturday. So please come out to the Eagles Nest at Lovejoy Middle and support this great team that we have. I just was told that Jonesboro marching band will be there for us. So please come out and be with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christmas. Ms. Bowles?
Good evening, everyone. As we close tonight, just want to remind you all to pay attention to the state capitol right now as we are all in legislative session. We will keep you abreast of a lot of the updates that impact our scholars, but I know you've heard about a lot of it with the QBE formula, expanding options or choice. And then there's also some retirement bills right now as well. In addition to session, I wanted to let y'all know that there's a lot going on in the world and you've got to take care of yourself in every way. And so at CCPS, we offer yoga, and I would love to have you at the next yoga class for all educators, just to clear your mind or know that you have an anchor. And the next yoga session for Wellness Wednesday will be on Wednesday, February 26th, right here in the cafe. So free for all CCPS educators. Just a reminder to take care of yourself. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles. Slight diversion to the agenda. Mr. Rick Shrewsbury is in the house, and he has a special gift for one of our own. So I'm going to let him do that quickly before we hit the announcements, and then I'm never going to stop you from giving gifts to our staff, Mr. Shrewsbury. Thank you.
Turn around. Is that okay? Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Every year in Clayton County, at our Teacher of the Year banquet, a ring is presented from our company to the Teacher of the Year and the Principal of the Year. The Teacher of the Year's ring was presented at Riverdale Middle to a well-deserved young lady. And this year, our Principal of the Year, Dr. Young, who's a very good friend of mine. In all my years, I've never had a principal to be a two-time Principal of the Year. And I'm very honored tonight to present Dr. Young his ring. I presented a ring in this very building about a year ago for another achievement that he had. And I had to go over and beyond on this one, and I think he'll be very pleased. But I'm very honored to present this ring, and I'm honored to present it here tonight.
Thank you.
So.
Can we get our photo with us standing up? So, board members stay standing. We're going to take the photo this way. All right, Mr. Shrewsbury, if you can. All right, Dr. Young. Excellent. Thank you so much. And once again, before the announcements, we have an extremely important event that is coming up this week in Clayton County. So I want to pass the mic briefly over to Dr. Smith so he can tell us about that event. And also at that event, our own Dr. D. Haney will be representing the board in the Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make the community aware. I'm sure that you've seen the information that has been published from our communications department, but we have an exciting event this Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Morrow Center. It will be our State of the District address, phenomenal performances by students, and lots of information will be shared with the general public. And we encourage you to attend or register to attend. And also, if not, please view it live stream, and it will be streamed with multiple interpretive services. So I hope that you either register to attend or at least see it live streaming. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Superintendent Smith. Now we will have the announcements.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Madam Vice Chair, board members, superintendents, district administrators, and citizens of Clayton County. My name is Azari Davis, a 6th grade student at Point South Middle School.
And my name is Zakai K, an 8th grade student. It is our pleasure to present the Board of Announcements for the month of February. Clayton County Public Schools is proud to celebrate Black History Month in February 2025. The theme for this year, African Americans and Labor. In observance of Black History Month, each week, the district's Department of Social Studies will highlight African Americans working. The public is encouraged to attend and participate in these activities.
The second month of the calendar year also serves as American Heart Month, National Parent Leadership Month, and National Youth Leadership Month. February 14th is Valentine's Day.
February is CTAE Month. This is a celebration of achievements and accomplishments of career, technical, and agricultural education in Clayton County Public Schools. Activities have been scheduled throughout the district to increase awareness of CTAE programs for all stakeholders.
Superintendent/CEO Schools, Dr. Anthony W. Smith, will host his second State of the Schools address on Thursday, February 6th at 6 p.m. at the Morrow Center. This event is open to staff, students, family, and community members.
The Clayton County Public Schools CCPS Department of School Choice is offering magnet school application assistance on Thursday, February 13th, and Wednesday, February 26th. Applications are now being accepted. For more information, please visit the district's website.
All schools and offices will be closed on Monday, February 17th for President's Day. The district will return to its regular operational and instructional schedule on Tuesday, February 18th.
The Clayton County Board of Education will conduct a work session on Monday, February 24th. The meeting, which will be held in the boardroom of the administration complex, is scheduled to begin at 6 p.m.
The March board meeting will be held on Monday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. The meeting will be held in the boardroom of the district's administration complex. Mr. Chairman, that concludes tonight's announcements.
Thank you very much, and that was very well done. Approval of the minutes. Is there any corrections or comments that anybody has for the minutes for the board work session and board meeting that took place on January 13th, 2024? Seeing none, we'll get to the consent agenda now.
Mr. Chair, that's 2025. There was a typo on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
It's at 2025, I believe, and there was a typo on the agenda, but it has been fixed.
Okay. All right. The consent agenda, which consists of the financial report, budget amendments, splosh revenue report, purchasing report, splosh construction report, capital purchasing report, Tara Stadium Fieldhouse bid, lease agreement for the junior achievement, lease agreement for the Chamber of Commerce, and lease agreement for the city Clayton County Foundation, and personnel change report. Is there any of these items that any of my board members want pulled and voted on separately? Ms. Goree?
Yes, I'd like to vote separate on the Chamber of Commerce and the Clayton County Foundation.
Okay. Ms. Cooper?
I just wanted to bring to Dr. Smith's attention on page 15 with the chamber, there it's not filled in, but other than that, I'm okay.
Tenant sections and on
Page 15.
the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, ma'am, for bringing that to our attention. We will certainly get that corrected.
All right, so we're voting on the consent agenda minus the lease agreement for the Chamber of Commerce and the lease agreement for the Clayton County Foundation. Do I have a motion? Ms. Cooper?
So move with the exception of pulling out the lease agreement for the chamber and the foundation.
Fantastic. Mr. Christmas?
Second.
The consent agenda has been properly motioned and second. I need a vote minus the lease agreement for the Chamber of Commerce and the lease agreement for the Clayton County Foundation. It's unanimous. Next, our next item will be the lease agreement for the Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
and
Wait, before, oh yeah, you got all nine, right? Is that?
n-
Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Cooper, Mr. Chairman, what was the one that you just said, which one?
She had a correction on.
I
the
know,
change.
that's what I'm asking. Which one was that? Okay, so since, that's the reason I'm asking, since things aren't filled in, can we wait and vote on that at the next meeting? If it's
Clem,
not
can you
filled
advise me
in,
on that?
had been my question about the information coming, since it's missing something.
Okay.
Should we not wait and just vote on it? But it's not as if they need it tomorrow. We just want it to be accurate.
This is a decision up to the board, Mr. Chair. If majority members want to wait, that certainly can happen. It's up to the board.
All right, it's my preference to move forward with the vote. So if I could get a motion for the lease agreement for the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, clear the board.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. All right. Ms. Cooper?
So moved with the correction of the tenant on there.
Ms. Baker?
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Can I have a vote on that motion? Ms. Corey, you have a comment?
Yes, if it's something missing, you're saying with the correction.
She moved the motion with the acknowledgement of it not being filled out and promised by the superintendent to get that filled out pretty much as soon as he leaves this dais tonight.
All right, well then, clear my.
Ms. Bowles, you have a question?
I did. I just wanted to say I agree on, if there's anything incomplete, perhaps we should table it until we have the full decision or full information, unless there's a reason we should vote without all the information.
Right. The information, as stated, is missing. The superintendent has promised us that as he leaves this dais, he is going to fill that out. So Joy made a motion in regards to that specific lease, stating that she's making the motion with that correction anticipated to be done tonight.
I see. However, that still means we will vote for something before we've seen the complete version, correct?
Okay. At this point, we have 5 votes in favor for the motion being passed, with that correction being done shortly after this meeting. So therefore, all right. Give me 1 second to correct these lights.
I did not vote.
You want it for?
I would not vote for anything that has not, if we don't have everything, that doesn't, it just makes.
Looking
that
at
assistant wait.
the consent of my board, to the right, to the left, they now want this pulled, so we will pull this. Dr. Smith, can you want me to come with you to your office so we can put the Chamber of Commerce name in there?
No, I need for you to do that. I do not understand why it wasn't all the way complete when we submitted it.
However, all of the corrections and concerns that was addressed about it has been done. But we can do that.
All right, so this is placed on the agenda for the next board meeting. Next, we have policy.
You have one more to vote on.
Ms. Cooper, you have a question?
You have the foundation.
Okay, I'm sorry. The lease agreement for the Clayton County Foundation. It is the recommendation that we accept the lease agreement of the Clayton County Foundation. Do I have a motion? Ms. Cooper?
So moved.
Mr. Christmas?
Second.
The motion has been properly passed and seconded. Can I get a vote? Okay, Ms. Goree, are you abstaining?
Yes, I
Okay, so
am.
I have seven in favor, one abstention. Ms. Battles, Ms. Goree is the abstention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, 8 in favor, 1 abstention. Next, we're on the event business agenda. Policy Series F, I am pulling that policy for a vote tonight. We received new recommendations and suggestions from another board member in regards to that policy, so I'm going to give us some time to read over the second option of that policy and have this placed on the next board meeting. That leaves us Policy Series K. We will be voting on that this evening. There are no changes to that policy. Do I have a motion to, do I have a motion for Policy Series K? Ms. Baker?
I move that we accept policy series K with no changes.
You got it. Ms. Goree?
I second the motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and properly second. Can I get a vote? It's unanimous, 9 votes. Next, we have Policy Series L. There are no changes in Policy Series L. Can I get a motion for, hold on.
Declare the board.
Can I get a motion for Policy Series L? Ms. Goree?
I move that we accept the policy series L as presented.
Ms. Baker?
Second.
The motion has been made and properly second. Can I get a vote? Ms. Williams, are you voting? If that's you. Okay. It is unanimous, 9 votes. Next, we move to, and there should be a correction on the agenda. It says HB 281. It should say HB 581. Can I get a motion for HB 581? 1 second before we. It is the recommendation of the superintendent for us to opt out of the HB 581. Am I correct? Yes. Can I get a motion? Ms. Goree?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to opt out of House Bill 581.
Ms. Williams?
Second it.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Can I get a vote? It's unanimous, 9 votes. Madam Vice Chair, is there anything that I am missing? There is nothing else. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, public.